Hi, hello, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Shout out to the All Access Patreon members who are seeing this first. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. And if you haven't already joined me over on Patreon, it's completely free to join and you still get some benefits. Like recently I've been releasing parts early on Patreon. They got parts of an album on Thursdays and YouTube got them on Sundays. Sometimes a video will get blocked on YouTube, and if that happens, it will be available on Patreon for free. And of course it's ad free. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, there is now an All Access Patreon membership tier that gets you early access to all of my content, extended versions, blurred free music videos, things like that. Any information about that will be in the description below. I should have pulled up the things that I actually needed to have up. I'm starting to put links and stuff into my, I switched from like a technically spreadsheet to like official project management software. I know, I have to do these things to keep myself together, okay? I need them. So I transitioned that to a Monday board, if you are familiar with that. And I've been putting in links and stuff to the things that are not like on Spotify, like videos and live performances and stuff. I've started putting links when I'm adding them, so that way I have them right there. But I hadn't gone back and done it for this. So now I need to get that up because I don't have it in there. Is it supposed to be this one? This one's pretty long. I don't know that it's supposed to be that long. This one is just like a clip. The longer video, I'm assuming, is gonna talk about things other than the control verse. I think I'm gonna watch this portion, the 2-minute and 21-second. That way you get my first initial reaction for that part. And then I'll go to the longer video and kind of check in and see if there was more that needed to be said. And then we're gonna do the Cypher, like the BET or BET or whatever it is.
This up and elevate it too much?
Nah, I feel like that's it. It's like, you know, he's the new guy to love, and of course, I mean, rightfully so. He's super talented, you know. But thank you. But he's but he's like, you know, he is the underdog that's extremely hungry. You know what I'm saying? And he's doing his thing really well. And that verse was, he's giving people like moments. You know, like that verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay. And then it was real cool for like, you know, a couple weeks.
You could have stopped. If you stopped right before you could have stopped, and it would have been like, it would have given exactly what it should have given based on the verse that I heard. That would have been a perfect response. But then you kept going.
But like, if I asked you, for example, like, how does that verse start?
Oh, do you remember?
No, and like,
No.
now mind you, it'll go on and Complex and Rap Radar, give it like verse of the millennium and all that shit or whatever. But like, I'm just saying, it's like, you know, I remember like somebody like asking me, you know, or maybe it was you that was like, is Kendrick Lamar your biggest competition like in this generation or whatever? Yeah. And I think that Kendrick has like the utmost potential, man. Like, you know, I see Kendrick tomorrow, I'm gonna dap him. I didn't feel the way about that verse. I get it. I get the moment. Like, you know, he's a good guy. And like, I know that verse had no malice behind it because I saw him 5 days later at the VMAs and it was all love. So.
There's still 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and I fear my PR brain is like, okay, you said something that maybe you kind of thought was funny, but like you're thinking in your head like, ooh, maybe that could be taken out of context. So you've kind of reset. You're kind of back on track, but there's 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. I fear that you're gonna switch it again.
So it's like he didn't come on there on some wild like, yeah, I'm in New York, fuck everybody, don't look at me. Like,
I'm the king.
So it was one of those things. It's like I almost wish he had come in there on that shit because I kind of lost like a little respect for the sentiment of the verse. If it's really fuck everybody, then it needs to be fuck everybody. It just can't be halfway for the sake of the people. But you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, that's just how I feel. I still like.
What did I literally just say?
When it comes to competition, I'm more worried about consistency. I'm more worried about bodies of work. I'm basically talking about, like, you know, there's one guy who's up every night thinking about how to get better and how to do things bigger. And, you know, that's Kanye West. He's like, you know, he's always gonna be the guy that's trying to outthink and outdo, you know, everybody. So for me,
this age interesting.
That would be like, you know.
I'm processing how to say what I want to say. Okay, wait, technically I did say I was gonna go and check that other video. So let me do that really quick to see if there's any more. God, the irony that I was like, I knew. Okay, I feel like this is gonna be way longer. So I probably won't need to watch this whole thing, but I'm not gonna screen record yet. I'm gonna go through this a little bit and then see what I come up with, see if I need to record anymore.
Outdo everybody else around me. I'm a very competitive person. I'm just quiet about it. I'm not really out there like talking about who I want to outdo. I'd rather just go and outdo it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just sitting back and being like, oh, I don't need to tell you who I'm better than or who I'm trying to be better than. I just want to put my music out and then you tell me who's better than you.
Okay, I feel like we're getting close to. I think this is gonna be more context, so I'm gonna record this. Screen record. That is simply not what I meant to do.
I don't know really how to answer that question. I always want to outdo myself. I always want to outdo everybody else around me. I'm a very competitive person. I'm just quiet about it. I'm not really out there like talking about who I want to outdo. I'd rather just go and outdo it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just sitting back and being like, oh, I don't need to tell you who I'm better than or who I'm trying to be better than. I just want to put my music out and then you tell me who's better than. You know what I'm saying? I leave it up to the people. You know. And as far as like how do I get better? I push myself really hard. I mean, I have great opinions in the studio. You know, like me, myself, Hush. We all sit in the studio. And sorry, me, myself, Hush. That makes no sense. Me, 40, and Hush. I need that drink whenever you guys are ready. So yeah, we all sit in the studio and I don't sacrifice I try not to sacrifice any bar. You know, I mean, I'll sit there on the last 2 lines of a verse for 3-4 days if I need to. You know, just to figure out how to end it. You know, I want it to be cohesive. I always want the beginning of a verse to be strong. I always want the end to be strong. And I really spend a lot of time on bars, man. You know, luckily for me, melodies come extremely easy. You know, knock on wood. Like, but they do. I mean, that is something that naturally, like, I just get in there and it starts flowing. And by 40 minutes in, an hour in, I have pretty much the direction I'm going in. But when it comes to raps, I spend a lot of time on it, man. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, that's all off the top, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I spend a lot of time.
Spend a lot of time in the intro.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do spend a lot of time on that.
Talk about that record. Like, why do you think it was so important to kind of set the tone of the album with that type of song? And like,
that I don't normally answer because I don't like to go up, to these radio stations and sit with these press people because at the end of the day, like I said backstage, the reason why I like talking to you is because I feel like you're really trying to bring answers to these people and not tear apart my character or nitpick at me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest, like if I go up to the radio station and I don't say some dumb shit about, Chris Brown, or if I don't do some shit, like if I don't do some wild shit, then they get no ratings. So, it's tough to really participate in media otherwise. But, instead of going up there and just talking about it, I'd rather just talk about my life on the song. So that was really what that intro was about. I spent a long time on it. So
how much time did they spend on the intro? What was the inspiration behind that? Like, what made you feel like the statements behind that? Like, what made that record fit?
What
right?
statements are you referring to?
Wait, I got some here. I wrote them down. Well, you do a great job when you talk down, like, I don't listen to your new shit. Don't ask for my take on it. Your shit is not that inspiring.
Yeah.
I gotta kill off the weak shit that got y'all excited.
Yep. I'm
It's
good
a
at
very.
that, no?
It's a. You doing that now? You killed him?
No, I mean, like, no, I'm saying, like, I like to get, like, what are you asking exactly? I don't understand.
Well, no, it's the competition in hip hop. I mean, obviously, when you make those kind of records and you're making those statements and you're competing, are you deferring to specific things, or it's just about making the most boldest, strong statement that you can about your craft, the way you stand?
When I say something, I mean it. Like, I'm not just saying it to be like, this sounds cool, I'm gonna write this down. Like, yeah, of course I mean it. Like, it's just like I understand that people need something new to love. That is just natural human, like, desire, And when it comes, like, it's like the same way people be like, man, you got to get back on that So Far Gone shit. That was your. It's just like, what is that to you though? Do I have to get back to sounding like that, or was that a time marker in your life when you were in college dating this girl and you got that mixtape and nobody knew about Drake, and now And you want that moment back. I can't give you that moment anymore. I can keep giving you great music. We can keep growing. We can keep understanding each other. But it's tough for me to go back there, So as far as like making those statements, I don't know what I was saying about that.
The language. Why did the language feel right?
I love how I'm just like bouncing around this. This is the title of this. It's like, with Ellie Wilson, episode whatever, okay, part 1 of 3, and then it has : Drake talks about Kendrick's Control verse. And I'm like, listen, I'm not surprised that you have it at the end, but if it's not in this part, listen, there's nothing that makes me more mad than when people like do that with titles. Like, just be honest. Just don't use that, like the clickbait thing. Ugh.
Got Stun on there too.
No, wait, hold on. I was making a point. Hold on, Elliot.
No, but here's what's funny about you and Kendrick Lamar. It's like people forget.
I was close.
Like someone yelled out Kendrick. It seems like nowadays people want to build Kendrick.
Nobody yelled out Kendrick. You just heard that in your head.
No, earlier.
When you go to sleep, you just hear somebody be like, Kendrick Lamar.
No, but here's what's funny about you and Kendrick Lamar. It's like people forget you had him on Take Care. You had him on Buried Alive. You talked about a meeting that you guys had where you kind of was schooling him on the game. And there's a great line about how he realized he's the same age as you, and it made him rude and impatient. So it's almost like it's very foreshadowing. You know, he ended up making a great record, Good Kid, Mad City. Just the connection.
Phenomenal album, by the way. Phenomenal album. Yeah, round of applause.
And then now he takes a competitive stance with a verse like Control. And then you said that, you know, he's not murdering you in any platform. But, you know, that's where that rivalry, that's where people want to try to build. That's if you want to try to build a rivalry. Like, what's your take on that? Do you feel like that they're trying to create a competition that he's not on your level because of your accomplishments? Like, do you feel like they're trying to hype this up and elevate it too much?
Nah, I feel like that's it. It's like, you know, he's the new guy to love, and of course, I mean, rightfully so. He's super talented, you know. But thank you. But he's but he's like, you know, he is the underdog that's extremely hungry, you know what I'm saying? And he's doing his thing really well.
I'm gonna rewatch
and that
this
verse
if there's more at the end.
He's giving people like moments, you know, like that verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay.
It wasn't
And
released.
then, but it was real cool for like, you know, a couple weeks. But like, if I asked you, for example, like, how does that verse start?
No, do you remember?
No, and like,
No.
now mind you, it'll go on in Complex and Rap Radar, give it like verse of the millennium and all that shit or whatever. But like, I'm just saying, it's like, you know, I remember like somebody like asking me, you know, or maybe it was you that was like, is Kendrick Lamar your biggest competition like in this generation or whatever? Yeah. And I think that Kendrick has like the utmost potential, man. Like, you know, I see Kendrick tomorrow, I'm adapt him. I didn't feel the way about that verse. I get it. I get the moment. Like, you know, he's a good guy. And like, I know that verse had no malice behind it because I saw him 5 days later at the VMAs and it was all love. So it's like, he didn't come on there on some wild, like, yeah, I'm in New York, fuck everybody, don't look at me. Like,
I'm the king.
So it was, you know, it was one of those things. It's like, I almost wish he had come in there on that shit because I kind of lost like a little respect for the sentiment of the verse. If it's really fuck everybody, then it needs to be fuck everybody. It just can't be halfway for the sake of the people. But you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, that's just how I feel. Yeah. But anyway, like, you know, I still like, when it comes to competition, I'm more worried about consistency. I'm more worried about bodies of work. I'm talking about hit records. I'm talking about, I'm basically talking about, like, you know, there's one guy who's up every night thinking about how to get better and how to do things bigger. And, you know, that's Kanye West. He's like, you know, he's always gonna be the guy that's trying to outthink and outdo, you know, everybody. So for me, that would be like, you know, that's my guy that I aspire to surpass, you know what I mean? And as far as Kendrick goes, like, I can't wait to see what he does because now it's time to show and prove. And consistency it's been one album. Consistency is like, you need more than one album, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's time to show and prove, and I look forward to seeing what he does, man. He's fucking super talented, so yeah. Cheers to Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna talk about this. When I tell you, I do not want to be in the middle of a war. I do not want that drama. I don't care if it would get views. I have had enough drama in my life. I do not want it. I simply do not want it. And so I'm like, sitting here, I'm like, okay, I don't want to censor myself and I want to be authentic and real, but I also want to be careful with how I say things because, again, I do not want to start something big on my page. Here's the thing. I'm not going to censor myself. I'm going to approach this the way I approach anything. I'm going to approach it from both sides because I'm a big believer that you have to look at it all sides and perspectives. I am not a jump on the bandwagon person. I like to analyze a situation and then form my own opinion. If I get more information, I'm happy to reevaluate, and I'm the first person to be like, hey, I've changed my mind. I'm not just gonna like hide out and be like, yeah, I actually don't feel that way anymore. I'll be open and honest about things. I don't want to get too much into this, but I'm using this one to talk about how I approach like feud type situations. And also because he did bring up Kanye, which is like very ironic. But just because I'm a Swiftie does not mean that I immediately jump on a bandwagon. I analyzed that situation and I came to my own conclusion, even though a lot of people disagreed with me. First of all, I thought the video was edited anyways. That's a whole nother story. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details. If we want to talk about that sometime and we want a video over that, whatever. But it's like, even if it wouldn't have been Taylor Swift, I don't care who the artist is. I don't care if it was an artist that I didn't like. I would have taken the stance I took. In defense, I think he had some nice things to say about Kendrick. The interviewer's like, it was a good record. He's like, no, it was a phenomenal record. I appreciate that. He was giving respect, and I think that he understood the true meaning behind what Kendrick was doing, right? He was like, I know he didn't mean any malice, about it. That makes me feel like you did understand his music. Could this interview have gone worse? Could he have said worse things? Absolutely. Now, the comments that he made before it and then after, to bring up I saw him 5 days afterwards and he said no. And you could have left it at that, but then it's like, but I kind of lost respect for it. But why? You said you understood the intention. There wasn't malice. So if he would have come in being like, screw everyone, that would have been the opposite of the intention of the verse. The intention that you've already acknowledged, that adds this kind of level of contradiction. And so to say like, I lost respect over it, okay, but if he had come in saying that, then would you have said the same thing? Or would you have been like, oh, no, he actually meant it? It would have started more. So like his behavior was in line with the motivations of the verse. To add that in there just kind of feels like a little underhanded jab that contradicts what you've already said. And that's where I'm like, him pointing out like, do you remember the verse? It wasn't included on like the album or anything. It didn't make it, right? Because like sample stuff. So it's not like they put out this like album that touched so many people. You know what I mean? And again, that gets into kind of the details that I don't know a lot about. Like I hate to use that as like another reason that I'm like, but I think it's fair to point it out. At the end, I think the part where it really kind of lays on that whole other layer is he's like, yeah, he's hungry. Also, you got to be consistent. You got to do more stuff. Okay, so you were able to get further in as far as like number of albums and accolades and stuff than Kendrick at this point. Okay, but what's weird to me is we've already discussed at the beginning of the interview, they had been on each other's stuff. And we know that Kendrick was on tour. I'm pretty sure he was like opening or whatever with Drake prior to Good Kid, Mad City. So him bringing up like you've had one album. Well, no, he had one major record label album. You should probably know about Section 80, right? Because that would have been like when they were touring. Again, I don't know a lot about like music accolades, so I acknowledge that perhaps this is like, that's not like counted. Like most people wouldn't count that. There was just a level that didn't have to be there, I guess is the way I would say. And maybe that wasn't his intention. He's in front of a crowd. Maybe he's trying to play it up. I get that to a certain extent. But you also have to understand that doing those things does make it where it can be interpreted a certain way. And to me, it interprets as if it was like, yeah, I understood what he meant, but also, New Kid on the Block. He's like, the consistent. If you know that the intention was not malice, that support is enough. Feels intentional. It feels like these little jabs where it's like, I've said all these nice things about it. So like, did I say anything bad? That's how it comes across. I think there's enough of an undertone that it would make me question. And if I were Kendrick, I can see me being like, you know me. You knew what that verse was about because you literally said you knew what it was about. So why add on these other little details? Why add on these other little undertones? I just don't think that there was a need for it. I think you could have gotten your point across, and I think you could have not added any potential fuel to the fire. That's what I'll leave it at. I'm currently trying to decide if I want to watch the video, but I need the lyrics, so I don't know if that's the best idea. Here's what I'll do. I'll watch the video, like the full deal, and then we'll go through the lyrics. I think that's probably the best way to do it. That way we kind of get both.
Cypher. DDE. Schoolboy Q. Vanity. Most of these shouldn't be next to us. We keep our distance from those acting like hoes. Zanny and pose, weed in my clothes. Pubic
I forgot it's gonna have all of them. Oh my gosh.
go, you wiggy get told. Put the realest product of cat pillars, gang bangers and dealers. Streets keep watching, oh hey. Click boom, the ghetto bird get shot down. Straight to the top now. They want a third strike on my background. But nah, homie, put the mask on when I slide on him. Put the cash in the safe. And here's an extra slug before I shake. You smoke faster than me with an eighth. Or better yet, the what break on the plate. Burning your face, all your senses covered in tape. With the boys in blue, chill out before I send them rags at you. You run into the cops saying how we do, saying it's just rapping, them lines ain't true, so I just do Q. I'm a Najee too, I may be twi. Baby girl need a papa, be a dada. Spank it, get praised to Allah, get blazed in my car. With oxymoron, rock.
Rock got it, rock came from rock bottom. Spark the flames, still remain as a top shotter. I ain't no backpack rapper, I ain't no lyricist. And if we ain't talking to you, mind your business then, cold with it. Black hippie, yeah, we cold. All the girlies love us, get a whiff of us, they bones quiver. Heard some clowns throwing stones at us. Holding boulders, champ, once you hear that yacht, watch his dome shatter. It's top dog, we running rap. Whack rappers, feline, reason why we don't run with cats. 90059, where my family at? Pull up in that family van, holding tools like the handyman. And to be real, not with all this rapping politicking. Rapping competition, rap to my position till I'm finished, till I make a couple tickets. Then I'm out here on them islands where my cronies chilling. Hot your feelings, now can I live? Look, I gotta keep my feet on top of the dirt, cause everywhere I go, they like when you dropping some work. Been a threat since birth, the rap gang's paw bear when I'm dropping a hearse. I ain't new to this, I'm true to this, industry's nightmare. Red strings in my Nike Airs, yeah, the white pair, I'm J-Rock. America's most wanted, my charges, killing MCs without warning. Rock.
Sad soul, give me the loot, I'm the skinny biggie. In New York City with Puffy, puffin' the sticky. All odds against me, still even the score. Probably why I'm always OT on tour. TDE, believe me, we want war. I don't even know what piece I like most no more. 2 fingers, 2 triggers, what's the difference? We all gon' die. One day, until then, I'm getting paid. My grandma watching, so I ain't gon' curse. Still gifted like a Wale verse. Backwood full of OG. Bobby Johnson, medicine in my soda, trying to dodge the coffin. And these days are so bittersweet. I guess it's just a balance we battle naturally. And y'all still tripping off a Jay-Z tweet. I still got laps to run with me and Jay-Z meet. Pete. Soul Brother number 2, the first one used to make beats for CL Smooth. Top got the S550, but the CL Smooth. And rolling weed is the only time I see L's move. So.
Look, hey, I think I found my second home, sunny California. And it's your little brother, you ain't meant for corners. It's what they told me, so I never look back. I got a shell in the bag, that is elephant ass. So we fell to the pad, passing propellers. I tell her, we flying, just listen. See, we diamonds are shining, and they gon' find us just glisten. Brought sand to the beach, and we left with your for the record and Guinness. I'm a heck of a menace. Where's Robin? I'm getting minding my business. He a regular victim, us a regular women. Regular you always cater to sluts. You always wasting my time, you always faking the fun. I put your motherfucking dreams in your face. You keep looking for some women to be all in your face. And deep dissing, rich keep dissing. That Tennessee dissing, make a beat dissing. You can never rap better than me. Cause you ain't dedicated, you ain't underrated, you ain't underlooked, you ain't overbooked, you just undercooked. It's supposed to be me and my in the record book. Now they got me out here by myself, still fresh as
I hate y'all. I do anything to replace y'all. Shout out to Face Mob. A ghetto boy till I'm unemployed with a day job. And kicking boxes. I kick ass and then kick knowledge. I'm way more polished than 99% of the scholars you thought had graduated. I'm the master that masturbated on your favorite MC into the industry had wanted me assassinated. You either corny or an opportunist. I let you eat, now go back to church and still practice at communion. What are we doing? I'm about to crack the Da Vinci Code. Yeah, and nothing been the same since they dropped Control and tucked the sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Ha ha, joke's on you, high five. I'm bulletproof, your shots will never penetrate. Pin a tail on a donkey, boy, you been a fake. I got my thumb on hip-hop and my foot in the back of your ass. Aftermath, get the last laugh. I serve like Master Jeffrey, jump on his curve, turn the shotty to a verb. If you let me, you know I'm a killer. I'm on your head, you know I'm a killer. The West Coast, Costa Nostra, under oath till it's over, you're over O's. So what the you up, up. She sucking, I duck you. It's like when I want. You go at us, you going nuts, acting irrational. Pop you, then pop an Adderall. Know the drill like a lateral. I'm more Pappy Mason and Pastor Mason, pacing back and forth, racing my thoughts on embracing Dayton. I spilled blood on my apron, cooking this up. I feel like some of y'all is hating. Quite frankly, your booty should thank me for grabbing it. Turning to racks to actresses, what a magic trick. Accidents never happen when murder's involved. Immaculate tactics, so follow me. If you need me, just call on me. I say, hold up, wait a minute. Your career ain't unless you got some Kendrick in it. You ain't no room is left on my unless you look like George Sparks. Make my mark on that. Hollywood's been good to me. Little hood used to pawn mom's jewelry. Family jewels big as and I got the balls to say it. Balls deep, balling out till Sparta need a replacement. I'm out chill. The west of your mouth chill. Invest in the vest of Vietnam vet when you out near. The white court building spilling this Merlot filling. Women of fur coat pimp the industry. Mimic these Stacey Adams and fur coats shook. You're scared to death. You're scared to look in the mirror when Kendrick is near you. King Kendrick.
Here's my deal. I'm trying to debate like how I want to do this. I feel like I want to just read through the other verses too. I want to see the context that everyone, because I picked up on stuff that was, I mean, it was just general competition. It was like, you know, Top Dog's talent talking about them in the industry, right? So I don't think it's necessarily a call out to a certain individual. And it sounds like they had things like that through each of their verses. I just kind of want to get that context just to make sure that I'm right about that. And then I'll kind of dive into Kendrick's. They shouldn't be next to us. We keep our distance from those acting like hoes. We're the realest ones. Product of cat peelers, gangbangers, and dealers. I don't know if I should be taking that literally. I mean, from what I've heard from the features, well, I think there was one person who I don't think I've heard before. But, you know, with J-Rock and Q and Soul, and it seems like they came from somewhat similar backgrounds as Kendrick. It makes sense to me when he's saying things like, you know, we're the product of this. I don't know anything about Top Dog, so I don't know this, but from the outside looking in, it kind of feels like they will take chances on people from like all walks of life. Sparked flames, you know, came from the rock bottom. And if we ain't talking to you, mind your business. Heard some clowns throwing stones at us, holding boulders. Top Dog, we run and rap. It just sounds like they're just talking about like in general, their label, their little group. They want to be leading the game. Like they're, you know, they're doing their own thing. I mean, it just sounds like normal competition to me. I knew I heard something like that. And to be real, not with all this rapping, politicking, rapper competition, wrap up my position. Industry's nightmare, you know, and then Soul comes in. I love his part about this grandma's watching. I loved that. You know, the odds against me, still even the score. Believe me, we want war. Like, again, like it's just about the competition of it all. It's just a balance. We battle naturally. I'm giving, minding my business. You always faking the funk. You can never rap better than me. And it's like, but you're like with your other rappers. Like, that's why I say like, I don't take it too serious because it's like, it's just the general competition of it all. Okay, so now we got Kendrick's. I love how he kind of like doubled down on the stuff from the Control verse because to me, it just kind of another layer of like, did you not hear me the first time? I think some people would probably take that as he's doubling down on it because he wants to keep it going. I take it as, let me continue to show you what I meant by these things. Because this is now the third time he's saying something like this because I know we've had it at least on one other song prior to the Control verse. But I hate y'all, do anything to replace y'all. It's like hyperbole type things. I loved this. I'm way more polished than 99% of the scholars you thought had graduated. I love that. I'm the master that masturbated on your favorite MC until the industry wanted me assassinated. You either corny or an opportunist. I let you eat, now go back to church and steal crackers at communion because it was a bar. I loved this. What are we doing? I'm about to crack the Da Vinci Code. Yeah, nothing been the same since they dropped Control. And tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Haha, joke's on you. And then I love when he high fives. I'm bulletproof. Your shots never penetrate. Pin the tail on a donkey. Boy, you been a fake. I got my thumb on hip hop. And the way he said this and then did the act of like, and my foot in the back of your ass. Like the way he did that was iconic. My God, his was really long. There was a couple of parts, I don't want to go line by line, but there was just some of them I wanted to, I feel like some of y'all are hating. Accidents never happen when murder's involved. Wild line. Immaculate tactics, so follow me if you need me, just call on me. I say, hold up, wait a minute, your career is shit unless you got some Kendrick in it, is a bar. When I heard this part, I was like, ooh, because like it seems throughout it that he's talking a lot about the industry, but I feel like it wouldn't be a Kendrick verse if he didn't throw in some other things. And so when I heard this line, I was like, I bet you that's it. So now I like really need to read it. Invest in the vest of Vietnam vets when you out near the White Court building spilling its Merlot. Didn't Control had that line about Vietnam too. So that is probably a callback to Control, right? The White Court building spilling its Merlot. That just makes me think of blood being spilled. So I think that's him bringing in the things that he raps a lot about. The system, the government, power imbalance, the oppression. To me, that symbolizes like the institution, if you will. Yeah, I was about to say, it's not a Kendrick verse without some... I don't think there's been a time when he hasn't had some sort of undertone of something, so it's cool to see that still here. I mean, I'm sure there's probably other ones throughout the verse that I probably just missed. But one thing I do want to know, earlier in, maybe it was in Q's, he said something about pimp the something. It was one of those verses. I don't remember whose it was. But then in Kendrick's, a Virgo pimped the industry. That just makes me think of to pimp a butterfly. It's intentional, right? Like when he uses the same word, and same thing with like the Vietnam vet deal, like that came from Control. So who's the Virgo that he's talking about? I love that he consistently brings out the astrological signs, but I'm interested to know who is the Virgo he's referring to that pimped the industry, because he's not a Virgo. And is that a negative? I can't tell if in this context if pimp is exploitation or if pimp is supposed to be like I pimped out my ride kind of thing, like in a more positive connotation versus exploitation. So if you know, please tell me. And as long as it doesn't like spoil anything in the future, please tell me. I said I would be fair and I look at all things. I can see this is taken up just a little bit. To me, is a step up as far as like towing a line in comparison to Control. Because like I said with Control, I truly do just think he meant that as like a competition. Why would you call out feature and the actual person's song you're on? I think that was how it was intended. That's how I took it. This I do feel is like a level up a little bit. I don't take this as like a total diss, but I do think there is this may be me projecting, which is totally fair. I acknowledge that it could be me projecting, but the way that I took the Drake interview, I could see this being a response. Took these subtle shots that you didn't need to take because you knew that wasn't my intention. And I said this in the Control video, I don't know if it was only Drake who had an issue or if there was other people who had an issue. For me, I think that's an important distinction. I would be interested to know who all had any response to the Control verse. Was it just Drake or was it other people? I can imagine, based on what Drake said in his interview, that it seems like the media had things to say about it. They were making it a bigger deal. One would also have to assume that this verse, especially within the context of this entire set, every other person has said stuff about the industry, about competition, the everything. So to me, it's like you could take it as being more pointed at Drake. I still think it's also in general about everyone's perception of it, not just him. The interviewer who brought it up, right? It seems like the other media did too. So I think this is bigger than just him like calling that out. I still think my perception could be impacted by knowing there was any other artist that was named that had an issue with it or had something to say about it in any context like Drake. I think that would be important. From just what I'm seeing here, I mean, I will admit that I do think he takes it a little bit further, but I think that it's on par with the subtle jabs that were given by Drake. I understand that there might be some bias on my part because I have been really into Kendrick's music and I've been slowly like really falling in love with him as an artist. So I acknowledge there could be some bias on my part. I still feel pretty much like if Drake would have just left it at what he left it at, I don't think there would have, I don't think this would have ever, even if there is some like slight, subtle, put him back in his pajamas. People are making a bigger deal out of this. That wasn't my intention. Like that's what this seems to me, where it's just like Kendrick is just essentially being like, hey, listen, like you made these subtle things, like that wasn't my intention. It's clear you knew that wasn't my intention. So like, just put it to bed. Like that's how I take it. It's like, put it to bed. We all know that's not what I meant. That's what I'm getting out of this, essentially. You could use a lot of these little things to be like, no, this is like a diss. But I think in order for you to do that, you would have to exclude the fact that this entire performance seems like they're talking about the competition, the game, the industry, everything already. And I think it would also have to exclude the narrative that clearly the media had stuff to say about the Controlverse. It seems like they were kind of blowing it a little bit. I don't think this is just like a call out to Drake. When I look at it holistically, I don't really take it as that. At least that's my initial reaction. Perhaps my feelings will change as I get more information, who knows? But that's where I'm gonna leave it. I think those are the only like earlier things that I needed to react to in preparation for down the line when we eventually get to their kind of like diss saga, if you will, when we get to that video. But I know y'all wanted me to do those because chronologically they did happen in before, and it's talked about on Pimp the Butterfly, or like the Controlverse is shouted out. I'm glad we got to do it. Again, it's not my intention to start anything. It's just what I'm seeing from my perspective, and that's all I got. But I am curious to know, what are your thoughts? Please be kind in comments, kind to each other. I'm not just saying that about me, I mean kind to each other, respecting other people's opinions. Again, my intention is never to stir a pot. The reality is that there's always multiple sides to a story, and it's hard for anybody to really know and make a fully formed opinion because there's always going to be parts that we don't know. That's just my initial reaction to it, but I'm curious to know yours. Did I miss anything? What did you get out of it? Let me know your thoughts as always, and until the next one, bye.